the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Earlier this year, it was announced that SnapAV and Control4 would merger in a $680 million deal. Last week, the shareholders approved it at 99% in a vote there, so the acquisition has been complete. With us to discuss what this combined new company means both for the dealers and for the industry, first is John Heyman, CEO of SnapAV.
Good to be with you guys.
All right. Also with us is Mr. Charlie Kindel, also now of SnapAV. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And what you're talking about from the integrator side, from the dealer side, first and foremost, Rudy Iglesias. Rudy is with RS Cable Systems. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
And also Brian Glabman. Brian is with GTS. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So a couple of, actually, honestly, it's a semantic question. And the reason, John, we'll start with you on this. Are we calling this an acquisition or are we calling it a merger?
It's actually a good question. This is definitively a merger of the two companies.
Okay, so the reason I asked is because when it was announced, the headline, right, comes across a SnapAV merger where there's $680 million involved in this deal. SnapAV is buying the Control4 shares at $23.91 a share. So since we're calling it a merger, are there any plans for a new company name, or because you've got two good-sized companies with a lot of brand equity coming together?
Yeah, I think just 2 points on that. One is from a transaction structure standpoint, the way what I would call affected the merger was to acquire the stock of Control4 from their existing shareholders. But in every other element of putting the two companies together, it's truly a merger. It starts with who's running the business and the new executive team, which we've named. There are an equal number of executives from both companies. There's probably nothing more important than what the merged company does than build products. And obviously, Charlie from Control4 is at the helm of our product organization. Even if you look below that in the organization, you'll find equal numbers of people in terms of other leadership positions from both teams. We aspire to have a singular go-to-market philosophy that, again, incorporates the best of both teams, a singular support experience from both companies that incorporates the best of both teams. So in every way, shape, or form, we're treating this as a merger, as opposed to the transaction structure, which was we did affect the merger by buying the stock from the shareholders.
Okay, and then that's a good distinction there as well.
Yeah, and the second point is this gives us a great opportunity around the brand itself, and I think the great news is, as I talk to dealers out there, is I think both companies have a very strong brand with our dealers. We think the aspiration for what we want to do together in the short term and the long term for our dealers and for their customers around products, around services, around achieving the ultimate smart home experience lends itself to the opportunity to create a new brand name for the entity. We don't want to do that and lose any of the brand awareness and brand loyalty both companies have already built. Trying to do that and affect that on day one would have been, I think, haphazard on our part and defocused us from many other important things that dealers and the end consumer care about. But it is something that's top of mind for us over the next number of months. We are inviting our people, and I've already gotten some suggestions from a couple of dealers about what that name might be. So we will continue to look at that and make sure when we do launch something, it's something that's uplifting for all and protects the key components of our existing brands.
And would you like to let us in on what some of those ideas are, or are those being already copywritten as we speak?
I think that would be premature at this
All right.
point.
Charlie, let's bring you on this. What's from the Control4 side, and also, you know, as much as you can from the SnapAV side, but what's the biggest benefits of this deal?
Well, I think it starts with customers. Combined, the companies serve well over 1 million homes worldwide. There's over 18,000 dealers and integrators worldwide. 3,000 or more of those are outside of the US. And it's an opportunity for us to deliver even more product and innovation for those end customers in their homes, as well as the dealers and integrators. I think that's the biggest opportunity, is we now have the ability to deliver even more innovation faster for the industry.
All right, very good. Rudy and Brian, let's kind of get your perspective on this as we just start. And let's be frank here, guys. The announcement of the official, you know, everything, all the I's were dotted and T's were crossed last week. So there's not a whole lot of experience other than this last week. But Rudy, let's start with you on this. What's been your experience, honestly, with each company before the merger?
I've had a great experience with both companies. And my answer to that is, I think, you know, let's see, because I think both of them bring very good things individually, and some of them have, you know, maybe we consider fallen short on some of on other things. And I think then possibly the two together can get obviously the best of the good stuff, and then also some of the shortfalls that one might have and the other might do better. And that combination of the two hopefully will bring us a better, you know, overall dealer, let's say, experience in buying and as a group.
Yeah. Brian, what are the biggest benefits you see from this merger for dealers like you?
Well, as Charlie mentioned, the benefits to the customers, and that's a benefit to us.
Okay.
You know, both companies are the two best service companies that we have and are currently dealing with. You know, for an integration company, there's some things that make a great partner, and both of the companies recognize that our interactions with them are a relationship, and there's loyalty, and it's not just solely transactionally based. You know, there's a bigger picture to growing together and making the whole pie bigger. You know, these two companies are, like I said, are most client centric, and at the end of the day, they recognize that the customer comes first, and that's really what we need on our end to minimize the hassle factor for those clients. You know, obviously, one of the very important things also to us going forward is that they protect our margins.
Mm-hmm.
But that whole client piece, you know, that is the most important thing to us as an integrator, because we're delivering an experience to that client, and that's the business we're in. It's not AV, it's delivering an experience, because it's all the pieces that come together. So we're really excited about it. These two companies have incredible service, and we're very excited.
Yeah, Brian, I appreciate you saying that, the fact that we're in the experience industry, not the AV industry. Folks that much smarter than me and much more talented than I am have been saying that for years. So I appreciate that. Brian and Rudy, you've got Charlie and John on the line here. From your perspective, again, 1 week in, do you see any negatives as we start this process?
I haven't seen any negatives, you know, at least as, you know, for, like you said, the last week. I think more, not from a customer perspective, but from industry guys and guys that are in the business. Some have been a little apprehensive about, you know, Control4 becoming a SnapAV brand per se. I think we spent a lot of time, and when we started with Control4, we had, it was kind of growing the brand of Control4, and now I think they've established themselves as, you know, the premier, let's say, home automation company, and we want to make sure that after all these years of proving that it works and making it right, and, you know, products that work well and so on, that we don't, you know, that we continue that as far as it being a trusted brand and a well-named brand and a brand that works. And
I would have to say that the biggest issue going forward is going to be, you know, how the two companies are used to dealing with things. because they have different approaches, and the communication between the companies, that's really going to be critical. This first week is really probably a time for them to just get to know who does what and where and all of that. So I think that really the telltale is going to be 6 months in, or even almost a year in, probably, when things really get aligned.
All right. John, let's pivot here for a second. It was almost a year ago. I want to say it was not quite to the date that we're recording this, but almost a year ago that Control4 announced the hiring of Charlie Kindel, one of the driving forces of Alexa, one of the architects of the Microsoft Media Server. What will Charlie mean for the SnapAV and for the SnapAV product roadmap?
First of all, I feel like I'm in a presidential debate, and that Rudy and Brian just highlighted a couple of things. And I think before I answer your question, I would just first like to acknowledge, first of all, their feedback on the positive experiences that we've had with the company, or they've had with the company. And second, just make sure that they know very specifically that, number one, we entered into this merger because we thought Control4 was the best company in the world at building a control platform, and that they shared a culture with us that was very centric around the dealer and the consumer experience. And that is something that we know we would put in danger by allowing any integrator to sell the Control4 product that was not well-trained, certified, authorized to do so. That we think that's central to the experience that consumers have with our company and with dealers, and we will vigorously protect and enhance that. So I want to first say that. And second, I think, Brian, to your point, yes, this is going to need to be measured over the next 12 months and after. The teams are working together incredibly well. They're getting to know each other very well. We're starting to understand some of the differences and some of the policies, et cetera, that you referred to. And we're committed to and enabled, because of the combination, we feel like, to do more, not less, for dealers than they're used to. So I just want to answer that, and hopefully I'm not being timed out like I might be.
No, certainly no. It's a great response, and you're right. They have the opportunity because they have you and Charlie together. Now you also have the opportunity, to talk to two of your integrators. So yeah, absolutely, take the time.
And then the other thing I will say to the question is, I met Charlie a few years ago, and one of our first interactions, we were discussing the complexities of truly delivering a smart, connected home that our industry experiences, and how that shows itself in terms of the impact on the dealer's business, both in the install, but also the supportability of the product. And Charlie, it was the very first meeting we had, and he looked at me and he said, "But why does that have to be?" And I think today, integrators like Rudy and Brian are delivering the smartest, most connected homes in the world. The expectations consumers will have around how smart their homes are, how connected they are, the experience that they want out of them, are going to go up significantly, and they're going to have more and more use cases that they want to implement to get better experiences for themselves and their family. And to have someone, not just with the connected home and Alexa experience that Charlie has, but with large scale systems and what it takes to deliver kind of the experiences and number of installs and the supportability of those installs, that's what we're excited about, that we have someone like Charlie who we think the company's lucky to have him. We think the industry's lucky to have someone with his background, and we think the consumers who buy from our industry. And we're just really excited about that. I would point to the first step being OS3 that we've seen, and just a much more elegant user interface for consumers. And having observed kind of like what's in the hopper in terms of products and ecosystems that we'll be delivering to the industry under Charlie's leadership, we're just getting started. We're at the tip of the iceberg in terms of this opportunity in the industry. We, based on a lot of research we've done, we think there is going to be significant demand that professionals face for the technology that we build and deliver to homeowners. And we couldn't be happier to have his leadership for all of us.
All right, Charlie. Folks have been talking about you, so let's hear from you. You joined Control4, like we said, about a year ago. Now you've been named the Chief Product and Technology Officer for SnapAV. Let's back up for a second. What was your first year like at Control4?
It was very interesting. I came into a business world that I was not used to. But most of my career has been spent at the what people call the megacorps at Microsoft and Amazon. Well, I did some startups, and there were a lot of things that attracted me to going to Control4. One of them was to get the opportunity to work in a much smaller company that was in the public space, and so I certainly got my fill of learning how a company of our size operates. But even more so, I was able to apply fairly rapidly some of the things that I've learned over my career on how to scale organizations and scale innovation. And I found an environment that first was a very well-run company to begin with. Martin Plain deserves a massive amount of respect and kudos for building Control4 as a company. So I found a very fertile ground for ideas on how to move faster, how to drive more innovation, focusing on the customer. And I think we're just scratching the surface of that with what we delivered with the Control4 Smart Home OS3 earlier this year. And I think it's very exciting. I think that we have a shared mission that starts with what John mentioned earlier about we just know that the smart home space is going to continue to grow immensely, and that the number of devices that are involved, the number of scenarios that are involved is going to continue to grow. And the only way that the delightful full smart home experience is going to be delivered is through local professional help. And I was excited about that when I joined Control4 last year, and I'm even more excited now with the combined entity.
Why more excited now?
It's a great question. I'll give you one example. SnapAV has invested very heavily in supporting dealers and integrators in a local way. A set of acquisitions around Volume, et cetera, that provide dealers and integrators with local support for their businesses. That will allow dealers to engage with their end customers even faster, to be even more responsive to end customer needs. Control4 didn't have that ability before. Now the combined entity of SnapAV does.
Mm-hmm. You John and Charlie both you both hit on the smart home a lot in this conversation. SnapAV is also known as a distributor, so the messaging, at least today, seems to be honing in on the smart home part of this merger. Why is that?
Well, it's a good question. I think we've naturally with Charlie, especially in the room, we look, first and foremost, I think we're a products company, and we have been talking a lot of the benefit of the integration around kind of the products and what that will mean to dealers. I think separately, what you've seen SnapAV do over the past couple of years is acknowledge to the industry that as we speak to our dealers, that, whereas if you put an order in on our website, you will get that order generally the next day or the following day. Sometimes that's not fast enough because either A, you've got a customer that has an issue right then and there or an opportunity, or it's not getting on your truck fast enough tomorrow or the next day, and that you need the product now. You need help designing your system now. You need somebody to come visit the site with you now. And we felt like after speaking to dealers across the country, we needed to get more what we call local. And because we did not have experience in that distribution local pickup business, we acquired a set of leading regional distributors like AllNet, Volutone, MRI, and Customs Plus to give us the expertise in running a local distribution business. That was one component of what we were doing. The second component was to deliver the smart home. Dealers require our products, but they also require other companies' products. And we felt that by giving them one place to come to get those products and support for those products, especially when we can provide integration with platforms such as Oversee, that we could enhance the install and enhance the support experience for a dealer. And so we felt it was really important to get closer to them from a local standpoint and provide them choice with other leading manufacturers' products to go alongside ours to deliver what we hope to be a fantastic experience for the homeowner. So that is another element of what we are doing as a company to try to make integrators' lives easier.
Very good. Brian and Rudy, John mentioned the purchase of the number of distributors nationwide, U.S. Area. They've also purchased a number of other products, other brands over the years. Rudy, we'll start with you on this. What has been your experience as SnapAV has purchased and brought other brands and other companies into their fold? Whether you were a customer of that existing brand or not, but you obviously are a SnapAV customer. What's been your experience as they've folded other companies into the SnapAV brand?
We've seen them bring in some other products like AVRs. I think Pioneer, Sunbright. Some of those, not Sunbright, but some of the AVRs that we're using, we're buying direct. So we're not, some of these add-on products or these whatever, the products, we're not buying them that way. So the ones that we're direct on, we've been staying direct. The Sunbright, we have, purchased some Sunbrights through them. And that's pretty much it.
Brian, what's been your experience?
So in the past, the integration of companies has had some pluses and minuses. The integration of Volutone for sure has allowed for quick pickup of products, and local support for RMAs. But one of the things we were hoping for was that, one of Snap's strengths has always been the amazing web experience. And we're hoping that that would mean a redo for Volutone's website, which hasn't happened yet, which does mean more phone calls and time on both ends. There are also, I would say, some communication hiccups. Yesterday is a good example. The discounts for Arachnus switches on Volutone's mailer was 10% below Snap's Diamond Plus pricing, and no one told us Snap's price on the website didn't reflect that, and our rep had no idea. I think the communication aspect of all of these companies working together is going to be critical. I mean, there's got to be a central repository, if you will, for communication between the companies when they're carrying overlapping products. For us, the big concern, isn't these two companies and how they operate. I mean, they're, like I said, the two most fabulous customer-centric companies we deal with. But having Control4 at a Volutone for us is not a win. We're a stocking dealer, so I stock everything that our people would potentially need in the field, and I understand that everyone can't do that. But Snap's distribution center is essentially overnight service. And that having Control4 at the distribution center in Fresno or one of the other places would be a huge win for us. I just have concerns that if Control4 were stocked at Volutone and someone came in and wanted to buy a Control4 controller, that that somebody says, oh, I'll just stick it on this dealer's account, or something like that could potentially happen. So that has been our biggest concern. And since you asked, I'm throwing that out there.
Hey, Brian and Rudy, first of all, excellent feedback. Just number one. We had tremendous success with Sunbright when we acquired it. We had a strategy to help our dealers, what we call own the outdoor experience, whether that was around access points or audio or video, and Sunbright was a key component. And we bought the company, and as I recall, we immediately reduced the price to the dealer by 10% and made the product more accessible through our own distribution system. And with Volutone, I think it's such a great point around the web experience. And the good news around that is we're planning on doing that. And it's what we're trying to do is do it not just for Volutone, but to do it for our other regional distribution businesses. And we want to present a singular view to the customer where it's all one platform. You order the way you want, you take delivery the way you want, you return the way you want. And so we are working on that. Those technology components to do it right requires a significant amount of investment and time. And so, Brian, it's coming, and again, appreciate the feedback. On the communication piece, we've tried to make sure everything we do is that you don't have the situation where you've seen different pricing. It sounds like it's happened. I actually wasn't aware of it. Anytime you see something like that, I am an email away, and will be very responsive. I will say, in looking at the merger, one of the pieces of feedback we got on Control4 is the availability of product. You will never see a dealer who's not certified to buy and buy and install Control4 ever be able to buy a product at a local distribution center because they've walked in. That will never happen. Well, if you were to see it happen, please let me know. But that we have no intent of doing that. That's number one. Number two, we do have an intent of making the product more accessible to certified and authorized dealers. And that means it will be in the not too distant future, but it wasn't available day one, available out of our Fresno facility, so you can get it overnight, which it sounds like you're in the Southern Cal or California market, and that's important to you. So, we'll be able to enable that to places where we have distribution capabilities. But keep the feedback coming. I think I would say the message from us would be, we're going to invest $200 million in this industry. And I think in the same way people are used to getting surveys from us about what types of products or services to invest in programs, et cetera, we depend on that feedback to run the business. And so we've got the scale to invest like nobody else in the country. We've got the passion and dedication and commitment to the professional installer to do just that. But we're still dependent on your feedback to do the right things in the business.
That's much appreciated, guys. I have, just so you know, I have a wish list and an expectation list. So just let me know when I can send it to you.
You should send that to John, actually.
You can send it now. John.Heyman@SnapAV.com.
There you go, Brian.
It's
Okay, perfect. Thanks, John.
Kindel@Control4.com.
There we are. Actually, let's bring Charlie in on this, and John, I want you to comment on this as well. You both mentioned the fact that there are a couple existing products from both companies. Obviously, SnapAV has done really good job of picking up really great brands over the years. Control4 has done that as well, especially since going public. They've purchased a number of companies. now you guys are sitting in an interesting position where you have overlapping products, let's say, the best way to put that. You can call it competing products, but let's say overlapping since you're now under the same umbrella. What are some of the plans that we have for some of these? Obviously, we've got Package, and Arachnus. You've got Episode and Triad. Number of products that do both the same thing.
One of the things that we know will always be true is customers will want choice.
Okay.
Dealers and integrators as our customers are no different. They want choice. I'd love to hear the integrators on the call, their perspective on this. But when it comes to networking products, as well as speakers, end customers and dealers love having choice. They love having choice in capabilities, in price points, in positioning, in brands. And we think that the combination of the two companies, specifically the brands around Package and Arachnus, can be very complementary to each other in terms of providing that choice. And we've got a lot of work to do to figure out the details. We're a week into the point where we can actually be driving next set of innovation. But the starting position is we think that dealers should continue to buy the products from those two brands that they're already buying, and identify where there's opportunities between the two to buy the one that will solve the problem best for the customer.
Yeah, I'm very interested to hear Rudy and Brian's thoughts, but I will say one of the strategic choices that Snap has made over the past 2-3 years has been recognizing the importance of choice that Charlie referred to. Is we've opened the doors of our company to integrating with other leading providers. We sell today other companies' networking products out of our distribution locations. We just signed a deal with Klipsch to sell their speakers, and we think it has a unique positioning in our Triad and Episode universe. We have very strong integration with Lutron's lighting products. We think, again, dealers want choice. We've built a platform to enable a one-stop shop for install and ongoing support of the home, and we'll continue to work with dealers and other leading manufacturers on that, and put our product development dollars into building, the best possible experiences for integrators.
All right, John. Control4 has a really strong international presence. Is this something that is going to help SnapAV expand beyond the North American market? Is that something you guys were thinking about with this merger? Something you're already working on?
We first of all, we're very excited about their global platform, distribution platform. We did not have the expertise outside some very limited markets to grow our business in those areas. We do feel like the connected smart home is a global opportunity, not one that's just a U.S. opportunity. And so the leadership Control4 has there in both understanding the market and the service requirements of the market, as well as the product requirements, was something that was very attractive to us. In the near term, we have some products that are ready for prime time. Most of our products, by the way, are complementary, not competitive to each other. And so we have some products that are ready for international distribution almost immediately. And then we have others that require longer design and development processes, but we're very excited about the market.
Very good. I want to bring in Brian and Rudy real quickly, because I neglected to bring them in on the whole overlapping conversation. Brian, what would you like to see happen with complementary products, as John puts it? But what would you like to see with some of those?
Well, I totally agree that choice is important for the consumer, but at the end of the day, on our side, we're presenting an integrated experience. So the more focused and the more time we can spend becoming experts in a particular product, especially for my people, the better we deliver. And I have some specifics if you guys want them, but
Yeah.
but so the Arachnus platform, we feel it needs a controller for the access points, but the Oversee platform we think is more dealer and consumer friendly than the backpack platform. We will typically use Pack Edge in a commercial environment where we're doing, because we do commercial and residential, where we're doing apartment complex common areas, that kind of thing. But the Arachnus interface for the consumer, we're really strong on that. So that between the two networking products, that's really where we're focusing on, on the home side of the business. I also believe that there's room for both Episode and Triad, not just for that choice aspect, but I think there's also a way to differentiate as far as different qualities and different aspects of their unique sound delivery between the two products, and giving that client a choice and allowing them to listen to those speakers in our experience center and talking about just some of the different options really makes them feel involved in that part of the design process. And I think there's definitely room for both of those products as well.
All right, Rudy?
I had a question previous when we were talking about making choices and what makes us make those choices. And I wanted to ask the gentleman from SnapAV, now that there's going to be essentially a combined company, do you guys have at some point a way of seeing this data from, because it's been separate up till now, but seeing the data from Control4 and seeing the data from SnapAV as far as dealers, and seeing, me as a dealer, I've been buying a ton of network stuff, or I've never bought network stuff from Control4. Now you can see that the reason is because I've been buying Arachnus for the last 5 years, and that that points how we're purchasing or why we're purchasing. Will you guys eventually be able to get to do like a side-by-side comparison of the data from dealers of SnapAV and Control4, so you can see how you can why guys are buying certain products versus others from you guys?
Well, I think generally speaking, it's a great question. So we have not been able to do that before day one, which was Thursday, because the lawyers actually, in terms of putting the two companies together, there's certain things you're allowed to plan for versus not. I think one of the things we're really excited about actually is to start getting a unified view of your business and how we can put together better programs for you to try certain products, et cetera. We think that, we think we can create a lot of opportunities for the market to deliver a better experience to the customer, and at the same time, make the lives of their employees easier and put more profit dollars in their pocket that they can elect to improve their personal lives or grow their businesses. And in much the same way, you've probably gotten the sense that Snap has understood what you buy from us and what you don't, and we create programs that attract you to hopefully using more of our products, like a Holy Snap. Then you could expect that same thing as we get a more unified view of your journey with our company.
Both companies have been fantastic, by the way, at doing that. Control4 has been solicitous of ideas and experience, and Snap has enabled us to grow tenfold with their business over the last couple of years because of the forward thinking. So you guys are on top of it when it comes to that. Those are two areas that I think both companies are incredibly strong in.
We've been talking about this across both teams, and it's incredible to have two companies that share a culture around understanding that when the industry buys our products, we obviously make a profit on that. And the mentality of both companies is we have an obligation to then go invest that profit in better programs, in better service, and better products. And what I'm so excited about, and I think this is why Charlie just feels like there's so much more to do, is Now we've got more ability to invest as a combined entity. And, Brian, I think you opened it up that, a lot of stuff doesn't show itself in day one or week one. It's going to take 12 months, or frankly, in some cases, longer around some of these things. But the culture of both businesses and the reliance on, the only way we all grow is to do so together and deliver amazing experiences to customers. So we're really excited about it.
Charlie, you guys made Control4 made a significant splash back in May, the announcement of the new OS 3. What are the plans, or have the plans changed at all since this merger was announced?
I think that we were settled that Control4 will continue on as our brand and around our home operating system. Collectively, we know that for a home to have the level of experience customers are increasingly expecting, the home has to have an operating system. And the Control4 Smart Home OS is the most modern, the most capable, scalable offering out there. And we've got a great team working on it, continuing to innovate, listen to customers, both end customers and our dealer customers. And we have a really, really robust backlog of ideas. And the team is just cranking. And so we're all full steam ahead on continuing to innovate.
John, in the past, SnapAV has gotten some negative feedback regarding acquisitions and margins and stuff like that. Does this acquisition help with that, or how do you work to change some of those negative perceptions?
Well, I think we have a mentality every day that we have to earn our customers, our dealers' business, and I think when you've grown to our size and you serve as many customers as we do, that I look at that negative feedback as constructive criticism. It's like, you got a B+ in the class and you need to work harder to get an A. And so I think we understand where we're getting A's. We understand where we're getting B's, and hopefully the times we're getting a C or below grade is minimal. But we just, we will always have those as a business. Any business is going to have those, and we just have a mentality of working really hard on those types of things inside the business. And so, an example would be that if Brian's having an experience in buying from Voluntone and us right now, those are two separate experiences. Brian would probably give us a C or below grade on that. We did the transaction, we're trying to present a unified experience. That will take some time. We're working on that really hard, but when we launch it, we're only going to launch it in a way that allows us to provide an excellent experience. By the way, and now Brian may have 3 experiences. He'll be buying from Control4, from Voluntone, and SnapAV. So, this is a journey, and you got to be a company that's open to always hearing from your customer and continuing to improve against that. And we would all say is our commitment to improve is like no other company I've ever been around.
Yeah, John, just to set the record straight, I don't want you to go away thinking that our experience with Volutone's been a negative. We were not a Volutone customer other than a couple of small items here or there prior to the acquisition by Snap. But I will tell you that week 1 of that acquisition, a gentleman from Volutone came over to our showroom. We did the tour. We talked about the opportunities that were available, from the product lines that necessarily Snap wasn't carrying or that we were purchasing other places, and it was a win. I mean, that relationship establishment at the beginning and having somebody to call. I mean, that was a big win. And while the technical part of the integration hasn't been seamless, I think that, you know, the fact that like I said, week one, somebody showed up here to press the flesh and introduce themselves and let us know that there was somebody on the other end if we needed help. That was a huge win.
Well, again, appreciate that as well. But, you know, I think the good news, Brian, is we are working on the wins that are more important for kind of the lifetime of our relationship together, and that you should have a very unified experience between the two companies. So, by the way, I don't take the criticism defensively. I think these are the things what I'm hopeful of is we knock down all those things that we need to do a better job. And I'm quite aware in a year or two, we'll have other things we still need to work on.
Well, actually, John, let me ask you a question about that, because there is an old saying, and the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? I'm not saying that Brian's being squeaky, but how do you balance that? How do you balance the folks who are perfectly happy with what's going on, right? They think this is a great deal. They think that, you know, Control4 is a wonderful company. You're a wonderful company. Everything's going to be fine. That I'm, you know, everything I get from my local dealer is great and groovy. And then you get some folks who are like, you know what? Can we change this? And in changing that, you upset the cart of the folks who are perfectly happy with the way things are.
Yeah,
how do you balance that?
It's a great question. I mean, we have managers across the company who week in, week out are listening to what we call voice of customer. And, you know, everybody's familiar with, you know, the survey around, you know, would you recommend our technical support services to a friend or a colleague? Or we're always doing product, what we call net promoter scores in the field. So we get all those responses, and we get those things constructively, and we get those things that, you know, kind of applaud what we're doing. And hopefully we're trying to add more fuel to the fire of the things we're doing really well. And we're trying to make sure that the constructive feedback we get is what I would call more systemic and something we ought to pay attention to, versus it's anecdotal. For instance, you know, what that integrator may actually require is just some more training from us, and how do we invest in that, as opposed to it's a true complaint around kind of the installability of a product. But these are the things you're balancing every day across thousands of customers and thousands of SKUs.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the biggest thing is we have an attitude that both companies share around getting better and listening to our customers about how to get better.
Absolutely huge. As we wrap up here, Charlie, we'll start with you, and then John, feel free to chime in on this. We're a week into this, right? I think we're recording this on Wednesday. Yeah, I don't think it hasn't been 7 days yet. What are your priorities for the new combined company?
I'll start. In 30 minutes, I'm meeting with my new combined products organization, every member of it worldwide, in a town hall for the first time. Yeah. And my priority is to get the organization aligned on how we're going to execute moving forward, and being a principled organization that starts with a principle about being absolutely obsessed with customers. And so the first priority is to get the organization all operating as one. And then we have a set of products that are in flight, things that we've been working on collectively across both companies. And we can't let our feet off the gas pedal for those. We got to launch them with quality and on time. And then this is a target-rich environment for innovation, the space that we all play in, and getting the team to think the big thoughts and the audacious thinking that will allow us to truly transform this industry to one where the normal way that end customers have technology in their homes is through local professional help.
I think that was really well said. I think for me, just to add to that would be, you know, making sure we continue the momentum that the industry has, and from our standpoint, for that means, not just over the long term, but in the medium term and in the short term, things that are tangible, delivering things that are tangible to integrators that help them grow their business, help them have employees that have easier lives, and that they make more money. That's around things like integration of the products, better programs, a one-stop shop to get support. So if you call our support desk, we either company can or either technical support organization can solve your problems then and there. So those are the things, and I think you'll start to see some of that over the coming months, and then more of it in 2020.
Very good. That's where we'll leave it. John Heyman and Charlie Kindel, both from SnapAV, Rudy Iglesias from RS Cable Systems, and Brian Plebman from GTS. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for AVNation. You can go by the website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others, including our coverage of CEDIA Expo 2019, comes your way September 12th through the 14th, but there's already stories and interviews up there. So all that and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. All the time we have for this AVNation special.